phone. Chris will ask you.
And Melina was on the radio.
But as you know, 102 properties were compulsory acquired on the 16th of October this year, including my house, which I've been in for 69 years. My parents moved into this house just weeks before VE Day in 1945. The next phase of the LMS East-West project will see the people of the inner north of Melbourne stand to lose their communities, heritage, their parkland and their clean air and waterways. They will also saddled with a taxpayer's burden of $17 billion. We need a government who will stand up for the people in the inner north and fight and preserve the amenity environment of the area and scrap the east-west tunnel, invest in much-needed public transport. Construction of the Doncaster Rail and Metro Tunnel and the extension of the existing public transport network will take Melbourne into the 21st century as one of the top 3 livable cities in the world. We must seriously consider the most important fact: one train equals 1,800 cars off the road.
Well, there's still a risk in this election, the 29th of November, that people will be fooled by Labor sitting on the fence. They've moved partway towards our position, but really what it's about is heading off the Greens and possibly the Socialist Party winning the inner city. And it's long since passed that the Labor Party's lost their social licence to represent the inner city. What we want is candidates who represent the real values of the inner city, and Labor's just the hollow people of Australian politics. And this is the best chance. We've had to toss them out. The only reason Daniel Andrews made the statement that he would depend on the Council Supreme Court case mid-December, the reason he's announced that is to try to delude as many people as possible into believing that Labor is 100% behind stopping the project, and we just simply can't believe that. Whereas the Greens and the Socialist Party have, right from the beginning, they've said, regardless of whether the contracts are valid or not, we don't care, we're going to tear up the contracts and we're going to build public transport in place of it.
I don't know if you all saw the Herald Sun this morning on page 1, $1 billion roadblock. It's really interesting because you people, as have the vast majority of locals in this area, for months, in fact years now, we've been saying to the state government, release the business case for the East-West Tunnel. And they said, we can't possibly do that. That's way too much level of detail, confidential, we can't give you that. When it suits them, they can give you forensic detail about information in relation to this cost it would cost to scrap this contracts over the next 4 or 5 days. $1 billion. Well, I've got to tell you, $1 billion is a lot cheaper than $17.8 billion to build this tunnel that nobody wants, that isn't going to work, and that's what we want them to do. But this doesn't really matter because we all know in 4 days' time this government's history. What's more serious is on page 4 of this newspaper today, you can see the pressures now. They've given up on the Liberals. They're now putting the pressure on the Labor Party. Because on page 4 of the Herald Sun today, they've got 2 QCs arguing against the advice of the QC from the ALP that if in 21 days' time, when the Supreme Court action starts between the state government versus Moreland and Yarra, if the council win, is it still a valid contract? The Labor Party QC says no, it's not, and apparently that's going to be the out for Andrews. But they've got 2 QCs in there saying that's rubbish. That even if the council win the court case in 21 days, that starts in 21 days' time, there will still be it'll still be a valid contract. So the pressure is now going to be brought to bear from the media, from these QCs, but behind all of these people are the big business interests in this state that want to get their hands on that $17-18 billion project to forget about the inner city. You don't have to go and face the electorate for another 4 years. Don't worry about those people. Build the tunnel. And we've got to start putting pressure now on the Labor Party. If they are serious, we had a debate the other day with all the candidates. Richard Wynne, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, the local MP. We will not build the tunnel. But when the locals like Keith and all the others saying, well, what are we going to do at our house? Can we get it back? Then all of a sudden, you know, you're not getting answers. So this is what's going to happen. If they think that they can U-turn this, obviously they're going to pay a political price. The Labor Party will be history in the inner city from here on in. Absolute history. They will never be trusted again. But we've got a more important warning than electoral politics, because we've got a long history in this area of occupations, successful occupations. Some of you may forget that 20 years ago, the North Yarra Community Health Centre had a small occupation that kept that alive. Most of you would be aware that Fitzroy High School is only alive thanks to an occupation by locals, many of whom, by the way, were Labor Party members in that area. That must never be forgotten. But most spectacularly, we had a 360-day-long occupation that Mike here, who's one of the leaders of this campaign, was involved with, myself and various other locals, that saved Richmond Secondary College, that site, from occupation, for closure, and now kept it as alive as a state school, Melbourne Girls College, one of the best girls' state government schools, not only in Victoria but in Australia. That's what you guys did through occupations. And we're ready to go back to occupations. Because if the Labor Party win this election on the basis of promising not to build this tunnel, and then do a flip-flop within a couple of weeks, do you think that we're just going to go away and go, oh yes, we're going to vote against you in 4 years' time? We're going to punish them much, much more than that. We're going to be sitting in these houses of those residents that choose to fight, dozens and hundreds of us, and they're going to have to take us away one at a time. We'll be calling on the trade union movement, the community, the people at large in this area, and we will be cemented to Bendigo Street. We'll be living in Bendigo Street 24/7 for as long as it takes until we force these people to give up on the East-West Tunnel. We haven't even started yet.
And I've lived here since 1985 in Abbotsford. I have a nice little house, and I'm not opposed to the tunnel simply because it's in my neighbourhood, but because it's a fiasco, because it has got nothing to do with traffic. It has everything to do with the privatisation of the Port of Melbourne, the trucking industry, the construction industry, and somewhere for superannuation funds to put their money. Now, that's okay for superannuation to put their money into infrastructure, but not into a privatised toll road, which will do nothing, absolutely nothing, to relieve congestion in the inner city, as all the studies show that 70% of traffic coming down the Eastern Freeway exit at Hoddle Street, and another 5% exit going further west to go into the city. So it's a complete and utter nonsense. It's to do with the trucking industry and the privatisation of the Port of Melbourne and the construction industry. And anyone who's looked into this thing knows that it's that. And I think I have no idea. People who read The Age, anyone who's done any investigation, knows it's a dud road and it should be just absolutely scrapped.